Hi, I'm Glenn Tinley with Winnipeg Women and Winnipeg Men Magazine, as well as Marketplace Magazine, here for our June 2012 update with our Mayor Sam Katz, the Mayor of the great city of Winnipeg.
I noticed that's actually pretty good, but I got the feeling that you have so much on your plate, sometimes you forget everything that exists on your plate to tell them all the magazines and stuff that you're involved with.
Well, yeah, we do have other stuff going on.
You are 24/7, aren't you?
I have been the last couple of days, that's for sure. It has been busy. We've got lots going on.
Welcome to my world, big guy. Welcome to my world.
Well, evolving into technology is
I hear you.
Is fun and challenging all at the same time. So, but anyway, here we are. It's June. This is going to be our wrap up for for the spring, summer. We're going to wrap up for July and August, and we'll start up again in September. I hope, if you'll have us back.
Why would you even doubt that for a moment?
Well, I just, I don't like to make assumptions.
The ratings have been terrific.
They have been great. I mean, our market share is huge when it comes to this.
The important thing is we're sharing solid factual information with the citizens of Winnipeg, and that's why I appreciate having the opportunity with you.
It's an open conversation.
There you go.
That's exactly right. So,
and you don't mind busting my chops as well.
No. Someone's got to keep you in line. Come on.
I'll tell my wife that you're taking care of that now, okay?
Well, okay, so I want to start with that. Speaking of your wife, congratulations.
Thank you.
You and Leah are...
We're expecting end of November, beginning of December. Really excited. Do have one minor challenge.
What's that?
Our youngest daughter, Kira, wants a baby sister. Our oldest daughter, Ava, wants a baby brother.
They do know it's a 50-50 shot, right?
I told them one of them will definitely be right. What I'm concerned about, if it's a baby boy, Kira will be dressing him up like a girl. That's my only concern.
I think no matter what, if it's a girl, there's going to be no problem. But if it's a boy, there's going to be some influence there, which is fine.
A healthy child will be ecstatic.
That's exactly right. And I know that you are, with everything else that you've got going on, you are a very dedicated father, and I think that adding a third to the family will be a great thing for you. So.
Oh, we're very excited. Plus, we got a dog not that long ago. So, And you know what? It's interesting because you and I always are here talking about shop, and people obviously know me as the mayor and many other things. Owner of the Gold Eyes, Brainian Concerts, etc. But I consider myself a father and a husband first, and everything follows from there.
Yeah, well,
just for the record.
And I will, without mentioning any names, I had a conversation with somebody this week who said, all politics, everything else, any business stuff aside, you are an absolute amazing father. And that was his exact comment to me was, Sam, of whatever anybody else says, thinks, does, fatherhood comes first, and they have the utmost respect for you for that. So anyway, there we go.
No idea who it is, but that's the way it is.
As I'm talking, my brain doesn't stop.
Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Well, I was thinking of Happy Father's Day. It's the marathon.
Yeah.
And I remember it was not that long ago that we were trudging along the city streets together.
It was 2 knee operations ago, to be very frank. Look what you've done to me.
Well, I needed you sitting behind this desk, so you got.
I wanted to join the exclusive club of doing the Manitoba Marathon or a marathon.
Yeah.
And I did it.
There you go.
And you were there beside me the entire way, except for maybe the last 180 yards, you let me go.
There you go. That was your moment. But I still, to this, and I remember I used to work for the Running Room years ago, and John Stanton's founder always said that 0.1% of the population has ever completed a marathon. So it does put you in an exclusive club.
Yeah, I'm convinced that I was only able to accomplish that because the fear of failure, and I don't accept failure because there's no way I should have been able to do what I did. I mean, I remember you giving me a schedule, which of course I couldn't follow.
Yeah.
And, I remember someone saying you're supposed to do an 18 or 20 mile run before that. I got up to 13. But I will say this, is that there's no question having someone of your understanding beside me, because there are many times you were ready to lay down and die. And I mean, lay down and die. So all those people are going to be out there this Sunday. God bless you. Good luck, and enjoy what you're doing, and good on you for a great cause.
It's a great event, and it's one of the top in the country. And so It's a big, I'm doing the super run with my 7-year-old. So I've scaled right down to doing the super run now, the 2.6. So it's going to be, he's really looking forward to it.
I bike with my daughters now.
Yeah. sorry about
See
the
what
knees.
this world's come to. 2 knees. I say talk to Glenn if you want to know what happened.
Well, bike sales have gone up. Always wear your helmet.
There you go.
Always wear your helmet. Anyway, let's talk. We've got 2 topics, City Hall business to talk about. You recently sent a letter to the Premier in regards to some decision and some things that are going on with Triple P, the public-private partnership model that did recently a major roadway construction that came in under budget and a year ahead of schedule. Disraeli Freeway is a Triple P, or Disraeli Bridge is a Triple P. And now there's some talk of some change, and which is obviously causing you some angst and concern. So maybe just fill us in on that.
Well, what it's really causing, it's actually, my philosophy as mayor has been to basically take care of the boss. And the boss is the taxpayer, okay, the citizens and residents of Winnipeg, Manitoba. And with some of the P3s that we've done, and keep in mind, since I've been here, we've done 3 P3s.
Okay.
One's in progress right now, and that would be the Disraeli Bridge. The other one would be the extension of the Chief Peguis Trail.
Right.
A project that came in on budget, a year ahead of schedule, and was voted Manitoba's best managed project of the year.
Yeah.
And the other one would be the police station in St. Boniface, Transcona. Those are the 3 that have happened since I've been here. And P3s definitely are one of the tools in the toolbox when it comes to our infrastructure. P3s don't work for all projects, but they certainly make sense for some. And for reasons which the Premier Selinger and the government won't come out and state, which I have, they want to eliminate P3s. Now, keep something in mind. We have what I have called and others have called an infrastructure crisis right now. Everything's falling apart. Roads, bridges, sidewalks, libraries,
riverbanks,
community centers, fire paramedic stations, riverbanks. That's all part of our infrastructure. You know, when you say the word infrastructure, no one really knows, well, what's infrastructure?
Yeah.
It's everything, okay? And we've asked for a proper share of the funding because we believe there's enough funding available. The problem is that of every tax dollar that you pay, okay, 65 cents goes to the province of Manitoba, 27 cents goes to the federal government, and 8 cents comes to us.
Right.
But we're saying we need a redistribution of that. Okay, so we know there's a crisis. We've talked to the government about giving us 1 point of their 7 points of PST. They said no. We gave them a whole bunch of other suggestions. They said no, but then in their budget, they used our suggestions to raise about $182 million for them annually, which I think we should at least get a royalty on. And what's happening here is that I've always felt it was important for me. I've never been a member of any political party.
Right.
I am not indebted to anybody. I owe nobody nothing. You know, the 120,000 people who voted for me, those are the people who put me in office. And those are the people who I serve. I don't serve people from the private sector. I don't serve the unions. I don't serve any political parties. And from my point of view, what they're doing right now, it's only got to do with serving their master right now, which is the union that got them elected. Because there's no logical reason whatsoever. And what really makes a lot of organizations, the City of Winnipeg, the AMM, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, Heavy Construction, Chamber of Commerce, who all made presentations, and here was the one theme. They claimed they were looking for more openness and transparency, yet they did zero consultation with the public. They brought this into being without talking to anyone, and when you look for the meat, you know, the hamburger in the hamburger bun, there is none. There's no regulations. They can get up tomorrow morning and decide what these regulations are, and we know nothing about it. And here's the scenario. Look at our P3 projects that we've done. Guaranteed prices, on time, on budget, ahead of schedule, best managed project of the year, totally transparent and open to the public, all sorts of input.
Yeah.
And look at their projects. The South Perimeter Bridge, catastrophic situation. The floodway, $135 million over budget. You guys, you should be looking in your own backyard. We're doing fine. Maybe you should be joining us.
Yeah.
It's a terrible scenario, and I'm very sad. I'm hoping they come to their senses, because I did write a letter telling him, hey, we're happy to sit down with you, but let's do this the proper way, because the way you're doing it is ridiculous.
So there's not been a sort of, there's a reason for it, or it just sort of, we've decided.
They say openness and transparency, which is a complete lie, because look at all their projects. We have more openness and transparency at City Hall than the province ever will. We meet in public, not once at Standing Policy Committee, not twice at EPC, but 3 times at Council, where any organization, any group, any individual can come forward, voice their concerns. We have a limit, and if 23 come, we suspend the rules and listen to everybody.
Right.
And we have consultation prior to that. The province is just out to lunch.
So is this, there's always stress between the city. I mean, the city is 3/4 of the population, and then the province, which has got but is there is this an issue that, I mean, you want to work together because ultimately there's only a certain amount of a pot of money, and you have to divvy it up, and costs aren't going down.
No, expenses are escalating far quicker than revenues.
Yeah.
And we, the city, don't have any revenues basically other than property taxes, whereas the provincial government has a whole list of areas they get their revenues from, including $3.6 billion from the federal government because we're a have-not province. And if you think mayors in other cities who are paying in and getting less back are happy with that, you're wrong. They don't like to see that as well. So you know what? What's going to happen one day when someone says, hey, we're going to stop these transfer payments? No, you've had many years to turn around from being a have-not province. What's going to happen then, I ask you?
The day will come, because you can see the trend with the federal government of what's happening right now in terms of expenses and what it's just their average talk. Yeah, I mean, that's a concern, right?
Yeah, and here's the reality. I always want to work with the Prime Minister, with the Premier, okay? And I had a very good working relationship with Premier Doer. But when a government is bringing things into being which don't make any sense and don't even have the courtesy to communicate with you, Premier Doer would communicate with me all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't have to agree on everything, but at least he would personally pick up the phone and let me know, and I would tell him, that makes a lot of sense, or that doesn't make sense, let's talk about it. In this situation, they're just doing things. They're not talking to the people. They're not talking to the elected representatives whatsoever, and that's the city councilors. I mean, it makes no sense. Just because you have a majority, and yes, you can push through anything, and they'll push this through, and I've already said on the record that when this becomes a very bad law, we'll be going to our legal to see what we can do about it, because I'm not going to stand by and let our taxpayers get beaten up.
So I have to actually do more research into this, but are they basically saying the province will not participate in any more P3s?
What they're going
to do P3s?
They're going to put so much red tape and so much expense on P3s that the end result will be they'll eliminate them. And that's intentional. And basically, there's only one entity that ever complained or didn't like P3s. CUPE, the union.
Yeah.
Same people who helped get the Premier elected.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
coincidence?
It's a union-driven.
Totally, it's a union-driven initiative. But what upsets me more than that, I don't mind where initiatives come from, because you know what? Sometimes unions come up with good initiatives, just like anything else.
Yeah.
What bothers me about this is to talk about openness and transparency, and this was all done behind closed doors, and all the regulations will be done behind closed doors. This is bad, really bad. Yeah. Shame on them.
Well, we'll see.
Now, do you want to know how I really feel about this?
Yeah. I'd like to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to. I mean, when's it supposed to be going through?
Well, put it this way:
before summer session,
which is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. They take quite a bit of time off, and summer session is, and I think Thursday was their goal.
Yeah.
So it could go through third reading and become law. And I'm telling you right now, City Hall will not lay down when it comes to the best interests of the citizens and taxpayers of our city. Not going to happen.
Well, I mean, if it becomes simply a cost issue, I mean, you have to, and you have to look at it and say if transfer payments potentially go down, and like you think about what has to be built, there's no money to do it.
Let me tell you something even worse. I'll share this with you and all the listeners, okay? And the people watching us. Right now, the provincial government will tell you they don't have any money for infrastructure. They said that to us 20 different ways. Mm-hmm. The big pot of money that's available for infrastructure funding, billions of dollars, where it is? No. It's in the 3P funding in Ottawa with the federal government. Yeah, right. So all the money sitting in 3P, every province and every city is going after that. And this provincial government is basically saying, we're not going to go after that because we're going to kill it. That's how ridiculous this is.
So
that's how nonsensical this is.
Will basically be
we got about $24 million non-repayable from the federal government for Chief Peguis.
Right.
Okay? We're kind of the poster child for P3s. And now I was talking to the mayor of Calgary. They're going after big money. So is Edmonton. So is Vancouver. Yeah. Every city in the country. And they're trying to kill it here. Terrible. Terrible.
Well, this is not going to be the end of it.
Oh, not as long as there's breath in my lungs, I can assure you of that.
Okay, well, we're going to follow up on it and follow it and see, because it's, I've seen the benefits. I mean, I think the general public, not I myself, but the general public have seen the benefit of what the extension to Chief Peguis has done and different things like that. So there's got to be some reasoning, and even though it could say, well, it's the unions that are driving it, but there has to be somebody that can say, here's why we're doing this.
You know what? All we should be using is two things: logic and common sense. Okay? A year ahead of schedule, as I mentioned, every person who uses Chief Peguis loves it. Even those people who were a little leery about it had some concerns. Because it was a P3, it dealt with sound attenuation, it dealt with overpasses, it dealt with everything. Yeah. Disraeli. We had a serious problem, if you recall. There was talk about it being shut down for 16 months. Through a P3, guess what? It's not being shut down except for the odd weekend, etc. What we have done, and the ingenuity that comes with P3s, and on top of that, the private sector is motivated to find creative ways because it's their dollars. They're the ones who are on the hook. They're the ones who've guaranteed the price.
Well, and also I would suggest that the private entities that are a part of the P3 also don't want to be publicly, I mean, if Chief Peguis would have not dealt with the sound attenuation and not dealt with certain things, they're going to be looking to that, but they're going to look at the private company and go, hey, you guys are on the hook, and then everybody's sort of ganging up. So they're sort of motivated to, hey, we got to make sure we go the extra mile to do this.
And you know who maintains these projects? The private sector. They pay for them. Yeah. So when the province, any day of the week, want to stand up and have a debate, and I'll put up our P3s against their South Perimeter Bridge, their floodway, any day of the week, and we'll see which are better projects. Yeah. Any day of the week.
Yeah. Okay.
I welcome. I'm actually extending an invitation to a debate on this topic anytime they so desire.
Well, I think it has to. I mean,
so if the minister or the premier is open to it, I'm here. And you can be the host.
Where's the federal minister stand on it?
The federal
government has their program in place, but has this?
They are basically pushing more and more
to that model
for 3P projects. Absolutely.
Just and again, do you know, I mean, the government in British Columbia is a NDP government. Are they?
I can tell you that city's also looking at P3 projects.
Right. So.
But you know what? Ever heard of the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Well.
It ain't broke, Mr. Premier. Don't fix it.
Yeah. There's
a lot of other things that are broken. Please fix those.
Yeah, let's get those fixed. Yeah. No, there's issues everywhere, so.
You got me in a real interesting mood today.
This is, but it's a major issue. I mean,
this is a very major issue.
Billions and billions of dollars. That, I mean, this is not, $10 million that is come and gone.
All people do is talk about it. You'll see it in the media every day. Potholes, streets, this building, that building. And I mean, when you have a scenario where for 2 or 3 decades, you haven't maintained them properly, here's what happens. Here's an opportunity to fix them, replace, build new, and they're saying, no.
Yeah.
We don't want to build a beautiful, invigorating city. We don't want a city where the young people want to stay and live and have a family. We don't want that. I guess we just want people turning off the lights and saying, bye, I'm out of here.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I knew you'd say that.
Okay.
Okay.
We will follow up on this because this is a major issue and it needs to be addressed and followed up.
All right.
Lastly, let's do a quick update on Rapid Transit's up and running now. I know, I mean, it's one of those things. It's up and running. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. What kind of feedback are you getting from transit themselves and or general public? Or
The feedback from both the general public and transit has been very good. It's been very positive. I know there has been, as anything when you start, a little tinkering, and they've made some schedule changes.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing with Rapid Transit is to finish what we started.
Right.
Okay? You know, we've done the first phase, now let's get it all the way out to the University of Manitoba, and once again, it's all about dollars and cents. We've identified dollars to do this, but the province said no. So on one hand, they say they're committed to Rapid Transit. On the other hand, no one will make the commitment for funding. You know, we basically passed a motion, you know, on the floor of council that the increased tax on motor vehicles should be used to fund this. We could build it, you know. We also passed a motion that the increase on the gas tax, and by the way, this one was unanimous on the floor of council, should go to fund our infrastructure. Yeah. So I think the councillors are doing the right thing. Unfortunately, I think the province has just gone deaf.
How do the councillors and the MLA, like, is there, it's like nobody's sort of having this two-way conversation, to sit in a room and say, okay, Minister of X, sit down with this committee of council and have a discussion. Is that happening?
Well, I can tell you that I would, you know, continuously have, you know, discussions with the Premier, okay? Haven't had any last, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, unfortunately, because it appears they just don't seem to care about any input from City Hall, even though, as you pointed out, Winnipeg, Manitoba is different than any other place in this country where you have the vast majority of the population in one city, right. And that happens right here in our city. So, you know, how they could not, you know, make this a priority. And keep in mind, even the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, that's the group that represents every municipality in the province.
Outside of the city.
The province ignores them too. They're ignoring everybody.
Yeah, I know AMM was upset about the B3. I mean, they spoke out against it as well.
They also tried getting 1 point of the existing. I mean, you know, it's just everything's being ignored. Maybe one day all politicians will listen.
What?
Maybe one day.
We'll see. So Rapid Transit's doing, you know, what it was doing. I mean, and so
it's doing what it's doing, but we need to finish that.
Right, because otherwise
there's a lot of this
corridor in a certain.
There's a lot of this, but until you identify the funding to finish the Southwest corridor, nothing will happen. We've given examples of where it could come from, and we just keep on getting the same answer.
Do you know, and you may or may not know this, has Transit said, hey, we've seen an increase in ridership since Rapid Transit?
You know what, I'm not, put it this way, it's funny because I remember I got that question asked maybe the first week, and I think it takes a little longer for them to actually get some genuine numbers. So I think, you know, within, you know, 3 months or so, they probably have some statistics on that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it would just be interesting to see, because that would lend some credence and argument to the fact that, hey, we got it, because people are using it, which gets people off the roads, which reduces the stress on the roads. And,
I'll give you an example. I know that my family, you know, they saw the Rapid Transit route, and the first thing my kids said, hey, Daddy, can we go take the Rapid Transit? I said, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be an increase. The key thing is you want to maintain the increase and you want to grow the increase.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's got to be a stable.
Yeah, you don't want a little blip and then coming down again.
Right,
you
because then you've basically got a system that.
So maybe I'll be reporting to you next time we see you after the summer.
Well,
there you go.
Let's hope so. It's because I do think it's good, and having transit systems. I've traveled. You get to cities that have transit systems, whether it's subway or above ground, and in especially larger cities. And as Winnipeg continues to grow, which I can tell you, every time I turn around, there's a new housing development going in, including the one outside my back door that I had was a great field and has now got the homes going in, which is, you
What's
know.
happening in our city is phenomenal. I mean, there's growth everywhere. You're talking about housing. You can see in all the new retail and commercial coming here, the redevelopment of older buildings that have never happened before. I believe it's 111 Lombard, if I'm not mistaken, 145,000 square feet. The building's 100 years old. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah, heard of that.
Okay. I think it's 352 Donald now that's been sitting there vacant for a long time. We know what's happening on Portage Avenue with the Avenue Building, commercial and
and a new hotel
residential.
going up.
A new hotel going up. I mean, and it's happening all over the city too. There's all that. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt in my mind, a lot of it has to do with what's going on at City Hall and the feeling, and not just the feeling, but the fact that Winnipeg is one of the best cities to invest in Canada right now, and people believe it. It was, we wanted about a year ago, we were awarded, the best city to invest in, and there's a great feeling right now, and things are going in a perfect direction, and you're going to see a lot more.
Yeah.
And I want to continue that, and I'd like to think the province wants to work with us to continue that, as opposed to putting roadblocks in our way.
Well, I mean, and I've
Notice
said
how I
it,
keep on going back there?
I've said it to you, I've said it to the Premier, I've said it to many, business, you have to have a place that it wants to attract business, because ultimately it's private business that is going to create more employment, tax base, and all those things that then contribute to additional growth and different things. So there has to be that going forward, and you don't want to create an environment of private enterprise looking and saying, we're going to shy away from that, not go there, or not move there, or not expand there, because we would, do something. We'd rather go somewhere else where we feel more welcome, or that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just an overall, general statement that
Don't disagree.
it's private
Plus, you want to
enterprise.
create employment for young people, because that's why they stay here. If you don't have good jobs in your city, they're going.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, no, and we have to do that in this city. I've got 2 young kids. I don't want to see them leave. You've got
Amen.
2 young and another on the way that you don't. There needs to be that, and it has its ebbs and flows.
Yes.
But overall, we're in a good space right now, and I agree. We do have to keep the momentum going, because I see an economic turnaround globally. Although there's still issues in Europe and Euro and lots of stuff.
Big issues.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're not the mayor of Barcelona.
I'm glad I'm not right now I'm glad I'm not the mayor of Montreal. I don't have to go that far away right now. I feel so bad for Mayor Tremblay, what's going on there. That's just, wow. I'll just leave that one alone for the time being.
I've been to Montreal 3 times in the last month on business, and
Look at the negative impact it's having on their city right now.
Yeah. Well, and I will say this talk about infrastructure. I cannot drive from the airport to a meeting where I have to go to. The construction and the bridges, because it's an older city, and it's different influences and bigger. But wow, is that an infrastructure?
I hear you.
Anyway, we have gone on and we've talked at length about issues with the province, and I think that I will be having a similar conversation to this with the Premier, and
I look forward to viewing that.
I will send you an email when it is up and running.
Are you going to have to make this a 2-part series, 1 and 2, because we went on so long?
No. People are interested. They'll watch. But anyway, I appreciate your time.
Always
again.
a pleasure, and all the best. Enjoy the summer.
Yes, you as well. You've got one more council meeting or one more meeting in July, and then the city prorogues for August.
That's right. We got June, July, and then we prorogue.
Yeah, and so we will see you. We'll see you back in September.
Sounds good.
We'll make arrangements. So that is our wrap up for the June 2012. The story went on a little bit longer today, but
I'm not.
He's not. I'm Glenn Tinley with Winnipeg Men and Women Magazine, as well as Marketplace Magazine, with our Mayor Sam Cates, City of Winnipeg, and we will see you in September.